Genesis P-Orridge, whose house I ended up moving into in Beck Road, was formed Throbbing Gristle, and also Industrial Records. And I believe that Industrial Records was pretty much set up in Beck Road. I think Throbbing Gristle had they had the Death Factory, and I'm not exactly sure where that was. I think it was just around the corner. But then they went on to do Psychic TV when Chris and Cozy kind of split and left the band, and then Peter went off and did Coil. So there was quite a, lot of offshoots to that particular kind of band. Both me and Nick Abrahams. It came through Nick. We moved in, and it's the first time I guess I'd lived in this kind of bohemian street, and it really looked bohemian at the time. It's all really been done up now, but it was one of those kind of proper old London as you'd expect it to be. And it always made me laugh that when I first went to see the place, there was this huge black door, and on the black door were these what I thought were real studs. And I was really intrigued by the way that, and then I realised it was in the kind of Psychic Cross. I just thought, oh, this is fantastic. And then it was like a year later that when we found some Japanese tourists that had come to visit the Temple of Psychic Youth, trying to prize one of these things off, and I realised they were plastic, which really made me laugh, which really summed up for me like the Temple of Psychic Youth, the grave in the back garden and all that kind of stuff. It was all a load of bollocks. What was funny is all the graffiti that was around was all created by Genesis. I mean, you'd expect the whole place to be full of this kind of, scrawls, but even that hadn't happened by that time. There was just I can't even remember what it said, but it was something like Free Genesis or something like that. Piece of graffiti. This sums up the whole thing. It said, ooh, Genesis. I mean, it's just like perfect. Genesis P-Orridge always wanted to be in a girl group. I just think he made too much noise. And I remember when we first moved in, Nick is kind of famous for being a bit of a bag man. He's just carrier bags full of paper and stuff and all sorts. So we poured all of Nick's stuff underneath the stairs, and the kind of stairs were completely kind of ruined or underneath that thing, because that's when the police raid happened on the place. Apparently they were looking for this satanic basement, so they ripped out a lot of the kind of floorboards under the stairs, and there's no basement there at all. It's not built on any kind of foundation. So we piled all of Nick's stuff under there. Anyway, so as we're moving Nick's stuff under the stairs, we were doing a little bit of a kind of look around, and we find a hand grenade with a pin in it, old one. And we're laughing about, Genesis with his hand grenade. I wonder what he had that for and stuff. And I remember at one point we were actually going to pull the pin, and we thought better of it and just started a stupid thing. So we kind of chucked it back under the stairs and put all Nick's stuff underneath there. And it was literally piles, boxes and bags full of stuff. And when it came for, I moved out, and then Nick moved out a little bit after me. And apparently the woman that moved in knew Nick and phoned him up in the middle of, middle of the night, and said, we've just been redoing the place, why didn't you fucking tell me about the hand grenade? And he said, what do you mean the hand grenade? And then he remembered, oh God, this hand grenade. And she said, well, yes, we had to call the fucking bomb squad out, and they did a controlled explosion in the street, and apparently it was a live hand grenade. Whether Genesis knew it was one or not, I have no idea, but the whole place could have gone up at any moment, apparently. In those days, you took everything for granted. It was a really kind of, you're in your own little world, your own little kind of bubble, and kind of Add Into X was formed out of that house. Trying to find that new invention, I think that's the kind of, and I think that's what Beck Roads was about. And you don't know why it's about that, because it's kind of Bohemia, and kind of Bohemia is it's non-existent in this city anymore, really. I think there was a time where, you drank for free at art openings, you ate for free because you knew where the bakeries were, so at 4 o'clock in the morning when you'd come back from the Brick Lane looking for junk, you'd find, you'd go into the bakery and they'd give you a few loaves, and it sounds really romantic, but that's kind of actually how everybody used to exist, I think. And that kind of, the culture now is completely different.